So I think it's probably a good enough time to describe the timeline that the timeline that's how I got here because obviously I've been out of the house for more than a year now, you know. So sorry I'm getting a bit sick out here. It's kind of irritating actually. So I guess it all started the day that I was like, I can't stay here anymore, or else, my parents are literally going to kick me out with a foot to the ass. So on that day, I decided to call up one of my friends. His name's Dennis. He's probably like, in terms of friends, he's like the best male friend you could ever really have. He was the first. Like his family was like willing to take me in, support me until they could port me over to somewhere else, which is what ended up happening. I ended up staying at his place for about 3 weeks. Sometime in I think it was from like most of September, and then on the 9th of October, I moved into uh, this place called the Miller House. It's a program ran through our local youth homeless program called Ozone House, which, by the way, it is a joke. They are the prime example of the general attitude of homeless shelters around here. It's just like they're here for the They're here for the statistics. They aren't here for the people. They're just here to keep a business afloat because someone's profiting off of it, even though they claim to be a nonprofit organization. And they don't do enough. This was made clear to me less than a month ago when I went to a homeless program that's not for my age group, and they did like 8 times more for me there than they ever did at Miller House. And I was like, what are they doing? They're just there to exist. They aren't really doing anything. It's a joke, really. And the further I went through Miller House, the more I realized that the people that used to work there are really disappointed at how it is now, comparatively. Um, I did meet some cool people there, and then, it just didn't work out. They were literally looking for people to, they were literally looking for the littlest reasons to kick people out. It was almost ridiculous. They didn't get me for a long time. See, I was at this, my position was, I'm not going to get into anyone else's position, because I don't think they'd appreciate me, putting them in blast on the internet. My position was, I had just gotten out of a bad parental situation. I didn't need you stacking 6 to 7 adult babysitters on top of me telling me to do things. Because, in my position, if I wasn't staying after school to do homework on a computer, they had a computer at Miller House, but they wouldn't let anyone use it for long enough. And by long enough, I mean I got maybe 5 hours of computer homework. And a lot of my classes were computer-based at the time. So, what ended up happening was I needed to stay after school to use the school computer to do my homework to be able to graduate. And the way Miller House is run is they need to see you physically at the kitchen table doing homework, like you're in some sort of really bad movie or something about living in the hood or something. And like a strict father situation where the dad was like, I need to see you at that table doing homework or whatever. But that's basically how they were trying to run it, and I'm like, nah man, I'd rather be shelterless than not a graduate. So I blatantly disobeyed them because I'm not going to get very far if I don't have a diploma. At least that's what I believe. It believed at the time. I'm not even sure if that's actually true. I've seen like a couple famous people like make it through their whole lives without even having a high school diploma, but fame, I don't know if it's for me. I don't think I could ever be famous. So what ended up happening was I blatantly disobeyed them, and the one person I will put on blast, Nikki, she's like the lead coordinator of Miller House. She found it to be a huge problem that I was prioritizing my schoolwork over my responsibilities to the Miller House, whatever. So she kept reminding me over and over about how I'm on thin ice, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. Graduated. Uh, that was my attitude at the time, and I did make it through. Um, but seeing how I was on such thin ice when March 8th of 2013 came around, it was my little brother's birthday. So what did I do? I took the money that I had saved up from working. Yeah, it wasn't much, but I was like, I gotta get him something. He's like my favorite brother ever. He's never like betrayed me. You know, back then he never betrayed me. But so I gave him like a box of muffins or something just silly because I knew he liked muffins. And I ended up taking a couple buses around town, getting the muffins, going back, and this was on a weekend, so the buses don't run every half hour or so. I already knew I was going to be late to home, because if you don't fulfill your duties for that week at Miller House, they give you a curfew, like you're an angsty teenager that needs to be in the house by 6. And I was like, yeah, whatever, okay. So I gave him the box of muffins, knocked on the door, ran away, and thankfully he was the one who opened the door. And then I went back to Miller House, but I already knew I was already super late. I was 2 hours late. I was riding the bus, and I was like going through like the 5 phases of like death, doubt, anger, disbelief, all that. And then by the time I got there, I was like acceptance. And I talked to the adult babysitter that was there at the time, like, hey, I'm 2 hours late. Can we just like not mention this because it's kind of a problem? She's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. The absolute next day, I get this message that says, your housing is under question. You need to meet this meeting or else move out immediately. So I met the meeting, and they're just like, man, we can't have you here anymore. You're screwing up. And I'm like, I'm going to high school, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You can go fuck yourself. So basically, I can never go back.